Hey guys, it's Power again. Welcome to Dungeon Defender Basics on Pets or Familiars. There are little bits of backup. Some of them don't do anything really, but they're nice to have. So, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's the thing that goes in this slot. There's quite a different arrangement. I'll show you some of them. I used to have a lot more variety than I do now. But you have Guardians, you have Animuses, you have the generic pets, and there's a lot of different variety. So, first thing we'll go over is, let's go over the Guardians. There's 4 Guardians for each class. When the Barbarian and the other classes come out, I'm sure there'll be Guardians for them as well. But for right now, there's 4. There's the Huntress, there's the Monk, the Apprentice, and the Squire. Okay, first thing. Guardians don't do any damage. What they do is they offer a buff. Depending on the type of buff, I will show you. The Huntress, it increases defense attack speed. Obviously that's not going to help at all for walls, but it will for turrets, towers, traps, things like that. Auras as well. Okay, these guys here, the Monk will increase the range of any towers. For auras and traps, it makes them bigger. So sometimes that can help quite a bit. So yeah, that's range. We've got the Apprentice Guardian, which will increase the damage of the towers or traps or auras. Right now it is the #1 most sought after Guardian in the game because it increases quite a bit. Then we also have the Huntress, probably being the second most popular. Probably the least used Guardian in the game would be the Squire Guardian. Hardly ever hear of anyone using one unless it's like the only one they've got. What it does is it'll increase the damage resistance that your towers can take. So say you go over and stand next to some walls, they'll take a lot less damage. The easiest way to think about it, because it doesn't necessarily tell you how much, it's kind of like adding health to whatever you're standing by. Obviously it's not health, it's damage resistance, but just think of it as health. Stuff's going to be harder to take down. So, let's go over the stats of the Guardian. You've got the 3 main ones right up here at the top. You've got range. What that means is how close do you have to stand next to the towers that you want to buff so that the pet will work. Most range, I would say, I probably wouldn't shoot for over 50. If it has over 50, great, but I wouldn't put points into it. Normally I'm pretty happy around 20 to 30. It all depends. Some maps you can stand farther away from them, but most of the time if you're defending you're pretty close. So 20 to 30 is going to be okay. You're still going to buff the towers. And the way it works, the closest things to you is what gets buffed. You can't really aim it. And so it's whatever's closest to you, just got to move your guy around. Okay, next stat, boost. This is how much of a buff it will do. For the Huntress one, it's how much of a speed increase. For the range, obviously it's how much range. Now there's 2 different ways to look at this. If you get one and the stat for the boost is below 20, you can max it up to 20. It will not go over that. If you get one over 20, it's set. You cannot move it, no matter how many upgrades it has. Another thing to look at is right now the Guardians, the soft cap is 40. If you get one with over 40, it's just for looks. It's wasted stats. So even though this one's 49, and one at 40 will buff it just as much. The stats to look for are here. So pretty much look for Guardians with 40 or above, decent range, and you're good to go. Okay, next one, number of defenses to boost. The max on these is 5. That will come up available while you're buffing, or excuse me, while you're investing. I believe it's every 10 levels that will pop up. So that should be your #1 priority when you're upgrading the Guardians. So make sure you get that to 5. If you find a Guardian that has less than 40 upgrades, it will not get to 5. So make sure you get one with, they'll come with +1. I don't think I've ever seen one with +2 stock. So +1. Sometimes you can get them without a plus, which is really odd, but I have seen it happen. So make sure it has that stat, otherwise you'll never be able to increase it. So you want this at 5. You want to shoot for 40 or better on defensive boost. But like I said, unless they change some things in the future, which I don't see them doing, I think it would be a little bit too overpowered. But 40 is fine. I mean, I've seen them up in the 90s, I think, for boost. Doesn't really help. Range, you can test it in your shop. You can drop a tower and then stand and see when the little purple effect goes around your tower, and then back up till it goes away. You can increase the range and test it like that. See what works best for you, but I normally keep mine between 20 and 30 is normally good. I do have some of these. This guy's got 54. He's got 63. It's just because that's how they started. I didn't put any points into that. So as far as the rest of the stats go, it really depends. As you can see here, there's only 2 tower stats and they're pretty low. So what I did is, because I didn't have to put any points into here, that's just how they were. Every 10 points I put into the defense boost. Once that's capped, and in between, I guess the other 9 upgrades, I put in the tower or whatever stats I need. If you think it's going to be used mostly on a tower builder, then you put it here. Most of the time, Guardians are used on DPS characters. You go out and build, you switch your DPS character, and you run around. Wherever you're defending, you're boosting the towers near you. That helps out for defending. So most of the time, tower stats are more sought out, or excuse me, hero stats are more sought after. So normally what I do, in between upgrading what I need to up here, I'll dump it in hero damage, maybe some health, or special, depending on what I feel like. So that's something to keep in mind there. Okay, now we've gone over the basics for Guardians. The next thing to look at, let's go into Genies. Okay, Genies are kind of confusing sometimes. They say, oh look, 2,000 mana collection. Well, you're not gaining 2,000 mana. From what I've read up, you roughly gain about 350 for what damage you do. It's also based off the damage that the character inflicts. So the more damage you inflict, a little bit more mana you get, but there is a cap. I believe it's 350. Roughly what you want to do is keep this between 2 and 3,000. 3,000 helps better for tower-based characters. They'll gain a little bit more mana, but I normally keep it in the 2,000 range, maybe a little more. Some people say 3,000, but I normally do okay with, around 2. Anything more than that is just overkill. You're not going to gain any more mana, so don't waste your points into that. You can get some, which I just threw them in the shop so they weren't in the way. But let's take a look here. This guy here, he started off with 1,800. This guy here, 1,175. I had some others that were in the 3,000 range that I had as well. So you can get them with pretty high base stats. After that, you pretty much just want to put the stats where you want them, depending on what character you're going to use them on. This guy here, I use him on my Apprentice. It helps out quite a bit with being able to gain mana during the first wave, because you don't have enough mana to set up during the first wave. So I attack some, place some more towers, attack some, set some more towers. It helps me get ready to go by the time the first wave's over. It's really handy. So most of the time these are used on DPS characters for upgrading, because you can sit there and attack and then upgrade, attack, upgrade. It works pretty well. But most of the time after the first couple waves they'll switch to a Guardian. That's just typical. Okay, so we've gone on over the Genie. Let's go over this little guy here, the Imp, or the Demon, depending on what you want to call it. What he does is he repairs any defenses near him. If the one thing I've noticed, it doesn't seem like he repairs traps. Maybe they've changed that, but the last time I tested him, they don't seem to repair traps. This is how much he'll heal. This is how quickly. I haven't tested the numbers out exactly. Normally you want this fairly high. This I think caps at 6 or 7. So something to keep in mind. And then you just put stats where you want them. But I don't think you need this over 2,000 or 3,000 at the most. He uses your mana, as you can see here, but drains your mana. So try him out. I don't have a ton of experience with this guy. Back when I used repair pets, I used these right here. The guys, well, let's see. This guy here, he was the engineer. He's the one that comes with the game. The Team Fortress 2 pets, they had different abilities. What was neat about this guy is he would repair AoE, so he could repair multiple defenses at once. But nowadays they're just kind of for looks, unless you don't have anything else. They are free pets, but their stats are pretty darn low, as you can see. This guy was the first one I got. I just upgraded him for tower health back when I first started the game. My buddy gave me his other one, so I used him for repair. Used to use that guy sometimes for survival mode, but so they are repair guys. You can mess around with the stats and try them out a little bit. I don't have a lot of experience with that. Okay, let's go into fairies. Fairies are pretty much the same thing as the imp, but they heal you. They'll also heal anyone around you if they're fairly close. They don't have a very long range, so the other person you want to heal needs to be fairly close to you. This is the heal amount. This is how quickly it heals. I don't think I have a fully upped one, do I? Oh, here we go. So yeah, I think 6 is the cap on that as well. This is an old school. I've got some of my old pets just sitting here just because I never got rid of them. A lot of them I've given away to friends, but like I said, the heal amount is what you want to be upgrading, and try it out, see what you like. And they're supposed to be fixing it so fairies are more useful in Nightmare. They'll be able to heal a little better, so I'm guessing they're getting a buff. So, heal amount, speed, put your points where you want to. I don't really know, you might have to do some searching as far as what the max heal amount. I'm guessing it just keeps going up and up. I don't think they use any mana, so it just heals you. So you can still keep doing whatever you're doing. That's pretty handy. I have used them every now and then. Okay. Now let's go into DPS pets. There's really only 2 you're going to want to mess with as far as putting points into DPS. The first type is the Apprentice, or excuse me, the Animus. This is the Animus Apprentice. Apprentice Animus. And you want to make sure you get one with plus projectiles. When it starts out, it should have +1. That gives it 2 shots. You can cap it out to +2, so you get 3 shots. Great thing about an Animus is it will scale with your hero damage. So the more hero damage you get on a DPS character, the more damage your pet does. The only 2 pets I know of that will increase that way is the chicken and the Animus. So they are the 2 good ones to use. Now the chicken pet, which I can show you, it's on one of my other characters, you only get after you complete Legendary Defender, which is a lot of upgrades, or excuse me, a lot of achievements to get there. But anyway, the Animus is pretty easy. You can get them from completing the summit, so keep that in mind. You can also find them randomly in your tavern. Plus projectiles. What's great about it is it can shoot through walls. So you can be standing up on a rooftop and it can be shooting stuff down through the building. Very, very handy. It caps out at 6 or 7 speed. I don't remember. I think it's 7, or they were going to patch it to 7 and it never did. I don't know. But I think the cap right now is 6. Then you have damage, and then the other stats. For a pet like this, dump everything into damage. That's going to be the best way to do this. Okay, now the chicken. Let me show you the chicken. Let's see. Here we go. I haven't played this character forever. Here you go, a chicken. Now you see these stats are really low. I got this back when the max upgrade on gear was 20, and insane was really hard. And yeah, so when I first got this, the max upgrades I think was 50 on this, and then they patched it and made it up to 80. It's not really worth upgrading at this point because it has such low base stats. But the neat thing about the chicken is it'll shoot out eggs when, here actually I'll show you. At range, see, it shoots out nice little eggs there that explode, and it does a small AoE and can attack other characters. But when it gets close, it'll start headbutting stuff, and that's an AoE that'll knock multiple mobs back. So that works pretty good when you're trying to repair and stuff and it's knocking mobs back, but you can also get in trouble, especially on survival and whatnot. You could knock mobs behind your defenses, so you gotta watch out for that. But again, that's only from completing the Legendary Defender, and that's through the Steam achievements. So, okay, so now that we've talked about that, there are quite a few other type of pets. You've got the steam robots, you've got the laser robots, which are, you know, like a transformer type, and they'll shoot multiple projectiles out of their eyes. You get +1, so they shoot 2. They do not shoot through things. They'll aim at stuff, but they won't be able to shoot through it. Then you've got your Chinese dragon. That's another steam robot. I don't have any others, but there's lots of them. There's a tiger, and all these other pets, they look cool and everything, but they're really not worth putting your points into the damage. Because of the fact they don't scale with hero damage, they're kind of a waste of points. If that's the only thing you got, then I'll put a little bit of points in there, I guess. But for in-game, they're really not worth it. They're mainly used as stats, stat sticks. You just use them to get the stats. And, you know, you can get some pretty decent ones, depending on what you're looking for. So, most of the time, they're used on tower droppers, you know, tower spec classes. So, that's pretty much what they're used for. Okay, so we've gone over the Guardians, we've gone over the random pets, we've gone over Animus DPS Pets. I think that's pretty much everything. If you guys have any questions on pets, in-game, you will want to do, oh, I'm getting some lag, do my hardcore spires setup. That'll allow you to get some pretty good pets. Pretty much all the ones I've got in here, you can see, I've gotten in the tavern after hardcore spires. So it's a pretty easy setup. You can also do it on normal versus hardcore, but being the fact that it's a really easy one to AFK, it's pretty easy. Oh, something I should tell you. The Animuses are class specific. You can only use this on an apprentice. They have the Squire ones, there's, here's some apprentice ones. Yeah, they have one for each class. So you can only use it on that class. So keep that in mind. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave any comments and questions. And you guys have a good one.